It's like fighting Kung Fu, you think you can fight with that. You don't even stop and ask like, what is it for? Fighting Qigong is not a fighting technique. It's not something you use in the fight. Same way like I explained, a stance is like horse stance or even the Wing Chun stance. It's not a stance that you use in actual fighting.
Building the body frame with different Chan Chuang, like standing post methods, and also these other Kung Fu techniques, and also stretching and flexibility and mobility stuff from Shaolin Kung Fu, for example, and stuff like this. They are actually way more productive ways of training for martial artists and many athletes also than just doing cleans and jerks with heavy weights in the gym or heavy back squats or heavy deadlifts.
Like it's one of the most transferable things for fighting ever, because that is specifically what it was developed for actually. That is like the name of it. It's warrior Qigong. It was for the warrior monks who defended these temples, and they use it as like direct supplementary training to really keep their body in the best shape possible.
How we actually see Qigong and Kung Fu is that we consider it like amazing supplementary training, which offers also some unique techniques we can throw to the mix. You know, when you're already at the high level and you're already a good fighter, then you can try different techniques and try to see if they work in your style. And that is to not say that all these traditional martial arts and Kung Fu styles do not have anything to offer. We actually think, like, if you look at modern MMA, it has taken like little bit of everything, but as a whole, it's very simplistic. It has like the basic boxing, basic Muay Thai, basic wrestling, basic everything. But if you want to actually add something to your style, many times you have to kind of take like techniques from traditional martial arts. Like alone, you just have basic roundhouse kick, basic Muay Thai, steep, and so on. But from different like these traditional styles, you can get lots of ideas. You can get lots of techniques that actually work after you already have the base and the foundation in real fighting. Then you are like you talk about Anderson Silva. Then you can start, you know, when you're already at the high level, when you're already a good fighter, then you can try different techniques and try to see if they work in your style. And likewise, we think like the traditional styles, like karate is like amazing. Like it has so many working components that you can apply, and it works amazingly well. But the same goes for many Qigong and Kung Fu styles as well. Like, and not just when it comes to techniques, but also principles. Like, I think in many cases, like the technique is whatever, but you can always take some very good principles from the ancient traditional styles in addition to the techniques.
Yeah, and I think you brought up like a bit of like a very good point there, that a lot of this, like even criticism that is toward, you know, these traditional martial arts that even I spoke here, you know, you can say that, you know, the MMA, like MMA gyms, boxing gyms are also a bit stiff. Like they don't allow you to do like much different than the very like, you're like this way and then you do these punches, you know, like, because we have trained in many places and usually that's like then it's all also like it's very, you just have to go into this mode and do everything in a specific way. It's not to say like these techniques are very, how to say, refined and they have been tested, you know, in the competition, so they definitely work. But you're also not so much allowed to, at least on a, you know, on those like lower levels, you're not allowed to really think of yourself.
Yeah, there's no creativity.
Yeah, there's no creativity, so
and no freedom of expression. It's always like this model works, copy it, and that's it.
Yeah, and I'm not sure. I think we have criticized also sometimes like, well, now the mixed martial arts is raised, you know, as the highest standard of everything. And well, maybe at the moment it is kind of the best testing like a platform for your abilities. Could be.
Yeah, and even mixed martial arts, it's not just one style. Like if you look at UFC, there's many different, like Stephen Thompson is almost full karate style with grappling and wrestling. And then you see some of these other, like Damian Maia is like almost full Brazilian jiu-jitsu. And then you see these other guys, like Sambo guys from Dagestan. They actually, their style is based on Sambo. It's like wrestling and grappling focus with very good ground and pound. Like even in UFC, there's not one style of MMA. It's like you have so many different styles. and different focuses depending on the type and the personality and the style of the fighter.
Yeah, and going back to the benefits of like traditional martial arts and kung fu, which like we are doing, like we do a lot of kung fu because we see benefits from it. But for example, many people think, okay, well, I'm doing fighting qigong, and because they're so like conditioned already to kind of hate kung fu and only like piss on it is like fighting kung fu. You think you can fight with that, and it's you don't even stop and ask like what is it for, because the fighting qigong is not a fighting technique. It's not something you use in the fight. Same way, like I explained, a stance is like horse stance or even the Wing Chun stance. It's not a stance that you use in actual fighting. There's purposes. But in, for example, the Qigong that we practice and the Kung Fu from Grandmaster Jiang Yushan, like when we're doing these Qigong practices, it's very clear that there is a certain purpose that we are doing. For example, with Lo Han Gong, contracting these muscles and
body hardening.
Yeah, and the body hardening, and it is no like fantasy involved with it. Like we know what is used, and we know what is lacking from it in terms of like fighting, because it's we understand that you need to have this pressure test, you need to do a sparring, and you need to master traditional techniques. So there's a bunch of things, but like you said, and we mentioned many times, once you have that thing, you have that basic stuff, you know how to fight in a way. Adding, for example, hardening practices, adding these refined like let's say mechanical kinetic chain practices or rooting practices and these energetic practices, it can be very, very highly beneficial. And the hardening is one thing that people completely miss, and also I think it makes people misinterpret the benefits of some of these traditional techniques. Because even Wing Chun, like people are like, well, you're doing this like arm punches like this way. But imagine like if you actually have like very, very hardened knuckles, like real like, and I'm not sure if the original Wing Chun guys did hardening, but I think almost every traditional martial artist back in the days did some type of hardening for the limbs. And if you have like these mallet-like hands like Jiang Yushan has, and you're doing this kind of chain punches that kind of look like just arm punches or something, it still makes a much more damage than with your regular fists. And the other Kung Fu techniques as well. And I think this is actually one of the biggest weaknesses in a lot of the modern martial arts, is that people actually used a lot of time to just protect the hands as much as possible, and they don't do any type of really conditioning to really harden their limbs, which was like in ancient times, it was a pretty devastating weapon actually, and it makes a lot of movements, like it's the difference between like night and day, whether a movement works or whether it doesn't work.
Yeah, for like how we actually see Qigong and Kung Fu is that we consider it like amazing supplementary training, which offers also some unique techniques we can throw to the mix. Mm-hmm. But primarily we consider it supplementary training, like the hardened bone skill, when you harden the shin bones, when you harden your feet, when you harden your knuckles and wrist and everything else, and also the golden bell, when you harden your body, it has direct benefits in any martial arts. It's like it just makes your like limbs more hard, more destructive, and also more bulletproof when it comes to injuries. But in addition to that, there's like the different Qigong practices, some for health and joint health and internal health and so on, but also for some for fighting Qigong, which is like the Lo Han Gong and Monkey Fist Door 24 set, and also the different 4 ends internal Kung Fu techniques, which are more for increasing the power and strength of your body and elevating your chi, and also changing your mentality and preparing your mindset for like different combat situations. Like we see, like it's like if you see modern athletes or mixed martial artists doing some self-massage techniques and strength and conditioning and mobility work, like Qigong and Kung Fu is like exactly the same, but it's not designed to be like its own martial art, but it's just something supplementary anyone can use, whether you are an athlete, whether you're a martial artist of any style.
It's true. It's not. Yeah, and even beyond like the martial arts, like the specific or general health purposes, and the breathing aspect was huge for us. And one thing, like for example, even the relaxation aspect, like it makes you, I think, or it has made me like a much more complete fighter and also a trainer, like bringing some aspects that were missing from my approach. And I've mentioned like many times, for example, the stuff that the rooting practices, for example, and rooting methods and standing meditations, which is one of the, like I would say it's a very ancient like conditioning practice, because it's incredibly hard. It's like endurance training with these ancient methods, like the grand circle, even the monkey Qigong and other methods that there are. And I have noticed like enormous benefits into my leg development and just being able to keep a better balance. And these are things that I can notice even when it relates to any like traditional martial arts, or even relates to like trying like judging Wing Chun and its effectiveness and judging the Kung Fu and its effectiveness. It comes from just doing, like we do a bunch of training, we spar, we do a whole lot of pad work. So you can actually see like all the time, like what kind of requirements it puts to the body. And so you can kind of like really perceive very clearly, is there some benefits to the practice? And I've noticed like enormous benefits from this when it comes to the stability and holding good like balance, and even force production for that matter.
Yes, and I can vouch for the same benefits myself. And I would say like many of these ancient practices are actually much better like supplementary training than most people do in the gym. Like this building the body frame with different, Chan Chuang, like standing post methods, and also these other Kung Fu techniques, and also what you see like different stretching and flexibility and mobility stuff from Shaolin Kung Fu, for example, and stuff like this. They are actually way more productive ways of training for martial artists and many athletes also than just doing cleans and jerks with heavy weights in the gym, or heavy back squats or heavy deadlifts.
Yep.
Like I would say they're like just way more functional, way more practical, and you will feel just so much more increased agility, speed, power, and stability yep. and everything in your body. But still most people, they focus so much on clean and jerks, and I don't think they even notice any benefits. They just, breaking their joints and causing more damage to their body.
No, that's exactly it, because like you said, like it's massively better in most aspects than what the traditional these guys are even doing at the gym, like what they're spending their time with. Like it's one of the most transferable things for fighting ever, because that is specifically what it was developed for actually. Yes. Like squats and everything, you can do squats for a host of different things. And all these different traditional exercises, bench press and such, people do. They were not specifically even developed for the fighting purposes. The Qigong, and I mean fighting Qigong, it's fighting Qigong. That is like the name of it. It's warrior Qigong. It was for the warrior monks who defended these temples, and they use it as like direct supplementary training to really keep their body in the best shape possible, as a form of strength and conditioning and endurance and energetic work, and even like for fixing injuries and imbalances and ailments in their body. So that's a big thing. And what people miss now, if the people who focus more on these traditional martial arts masters who get smashed in all of these fights, they completely miss the real benefit that you could actually get from traditional martial arts, which is not confined into just like some techniques, like some chain punches or some other odd-looking hand-trapping things. The benefits for me are not there. It's in the stuff that is sort of it goes beyond the training. It goes to really to the physical body, and it goes to the performance of the body.
Yeah, actually, what makes you a better athlete and a better human being, and what makes you stronger in every aspect of fitness, and what also elevates your consciousness and strengthens your mind. That's where the real value comes from. Like just becoming better as a moving human being, as an athlete,
It's true.
and as a martial artist.